Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of Black on Black Cinema. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Micah,
Hey,
Terrence,
what's up?
and Tiara.
Hey.
All right, guys, we are back. This is episode 253, Rustin. This is the 2023 American biographical drama film directed by George C. Wolfe. This is produced by Barack and Michelle Obama's production company, Higher Ground, incidentally. And, of course, stars Coleman Domingo in the title role as Bayard Rustin, Chris Rock, Jeffrey Wright, Audrey McDonald, Alm Amin, Glenn Turman, Gus Halper, CCH Pounder, and I'll just stop there. There's a ton of people in this movie that are all worth talking about. All right, this is on Netflix. So if you have not watched it, I would personally highly recommend you watch it before listening to this review. I'll go first. I thought it was great. I really did. I thought it was a wonderful movie. I think it is anchored by Coleman Domingo's incredible performance. It's just incredibly well written. It's like engaging to watch. It's dope to kind of get the behind the scenes look at the forming of the 1963 March on Washington, and not just the focus on King's speech, right? They even like kind of purposely not make that like it's the end, but like not quite the end of the movie, right? So it's just fascinating to kind of focus on this guy who Mike and I were just talking like offline, that is not a part of normal just Black history or American history in and of itself, right? Like I didn't know anything about this guy before seeing this movie, which to me is ridiculous. Frankly, it's crazy. But yeah, I thought it was great. I thought everybody was good to great in it. I didn't really have any issues with anybody. I thought everybody put in great performances. And it's got a lot to say, not just like Black people were not treated well, and here is the history of that. I think it actually knocks down a lot of arguments I hear in our own community about the struggles of Black folks versus gay folks, and it basically takes that and goes, yeah, get the fuck out of here because Black people are also gay too. So like it crosses both conversations, and it does it in a smart but not pandering way, I thought. But yeah, I just think Coleman Domingo's performance is enough to get you to the show. But everything else is just fantastic coming behind that. So yeah, I really loved it. I'll go to Tiara.
Yeah, same. I didn't know who he was. Also agree that it's ridiculous that we don't know, but also not surprising considering his background. I was reading when I was reading about the movie today. When I was watching the movie today, I felt this kind of like sadness, and I also feel like whenever we do these movies, we can just title it "This Wasn't That Long Ago," because there are people, civil rights figures who have just passed away, and it made me just remember like none of this stuff is that far off from history, and Bayard Rustin was alive during you guys' lifetimes, which is kind of crazy to think about. I also love the themes of intersectionality, not even just about being Black and gay, but also the role of women in this. And I felt like one of the scenes in this movie about the role of women being able to participate said a lot to me, and also said a lot about just the way that even though Bayard Rustin was I don't want to say excluded Black women from it, but that was another conversation I felt like that probably would have needed to be had in that film as well. I don't really have anything negative to say about this movie. I really enjoyed all of it. I felt like Coleman Domingo was Bayard Rustin. I didn't see Coleman Domingo at all, and I've seen him in other things like Fear the Walking Dead and a couple of other projects. But I thought he just really just knocked out the park. I feel like movies like this, I know some people talk about why do we have to talk about Black people's struggles in film, this is why, because they're political figures or figures who have played a big role in things like the civil rights movement that we just never heard of, because history has forgotten about them for the most part, or they weren't taught in our schools. I mean, I think it says something that Bayard Rustin wasn't awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom for 50 years after this. So this is why these movies are made. And I actually would love to learn more about other civil rights figures who we just don't know about. No, this was excellent. I don't really have anything negative to say about it.
Okay, Terrence.
Yeah, I'm pretty much going to say what both you said. When it started, my initial thought was, "Is this a play?" Because it's the writing it sounded like it felt like a stage play, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle this. But then within a couple of minutes, I'm like, okay, this is fine. No, I enjoy everything that Coleman Domingo's in. Like, that dude is just a beast. Like, everything he's in, I enjoy. It's just a great movie. And like Tiara said, it doesn't, like, we need these movies because there's a lot of people we just don't know about. They were like throwing names out at me in the beginning. I'm like, I don't know who that nigga is. Never.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of
like, and I started looking people up. I'm like, oh, okay. It's just it's well directed, well acted. I like the score. Who does the score? It's a jazz musician. Damn, what's his name?
Bamford Marsalis.
Yeah,
Bradford
Marsalis. Yeah,
Bradford Marsalis.
Score's great. Performance is great.
That's Wynton Marsalis's brother, isn't it?
I think so. They're related somehow. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I have no complaints. I watched it twice. I watched it yesterday and Saturday.
Yeah,
so it's good.
Yeah, Micah, your thoughts?
No notes. I mean, this is what happens when you take a scene stealer like Coleman Domingo and you give him a starring vehicle. You get a captivating movie. Yeah, man. He's just such he's a joy to watch. Right? Like he's really, really good at what he does. He doesn't overact like some people think that overacting just a bit is like good acting. No, good acting is good acting. And that's what he does in literally every role.
I can't think of a role. I can't think of a role that I didn't think he was stellar in. I really can't.
Right. And even, roles that aren't like, that don't have a lot of meat on them, like Unicron, it's still like, he's got that voice, right? So it's like, yeah, man, no notes. Yeah, this movie like should be played in schools, right? Yeah. Like instead of like, trying to teach kids history and shit, like, hey, we're going to watch a movie. And then it's like, yay. And then it's going to like about civil rights. And it's like, but then you turn it on and it's like, wow, this is really good and really informative. I'm going to go and do my own Wikipedia research about a bunch of names that I've never heard before. Yeah, no notes, man. Everything about this movie is great. Literally everything. As soon as I saw Chris Rock, I was like, but even Chris Rock is serviceable in this movie.
I didn't have a problem with him at all, honestly.
The wig, though.
That's not.
Yeah, these wigs. Oh, those are that's the negatives in this movie. Some of these wigs were straight trash. Like, yo, they bring these niggas' heads. I'm like, what is going on?
Did they bring Tyler in for it?
Just to also bring back the point that this wasn't that far off long ago. Rustin's partner is still alive, like alive and well.
Yeah, he died. Rustin died in '87.
He died in '87. Yeah. He was like 80. He was 80 years, like 80 something years old. 86 or something.
Yeah, we are.
How young was his partner? Because
Well, yeah.
You know, look, we don't need to ask those questions.
Yeah, it
Look,
tends to be a
look.
bit of an age gap. Tends to be a bit of an age
Yeah.
Look. Gay men are still men, guys.
gap. Yeah. At the end of the
Come
day,
on.
at the end of the day, they're so different. Are they though? Are they?
I would love to see the reaction to this movie because, as you said, Jay, this is a black gay guy who was not ashamed of who he was, and
fuck he was not.
and even in this movie just brings home the point that you had a lot of black dudes who were for rights, but were they for everybody?
Even the civil rights leaders was like,
I don't know about all that.
them homos. Like, okay,
but
relax.
it's wild, right? Because we have some clips from it that we'll play if you're listening to the audio version of this. But there's even a line he says, like, either they believe in rights for all people or they do not, right? And it's like, you cannot make a logical argument about the equality of human beings and then be like, but not you though. Like, I think we should all be equal. I disagree. Like, that doesn't work. Like, it's not okay. But for him to say what he said to not only other civil rights leaders, and he does, like, straight to their face about it, but he also says the shit to Martin straight to his face about, like, how the church is wrong. And I'm like right to his face. And it's like, I mean, you might be right about that. Like, it's kind of wild to imagine in the 1960s you have somebody who's as bold and as brave as he is. The other aspect I'll say before we kind of get into the movie is, like, this is for the audience. None of you, including the four of us, none of us are as brave as these guys were. None of them. None of us. Like these guys didn't just, like, go on the internet and talk shit. They didn't have a podcast where they talk shit and, like, push against the man or whatever. No, these guys went and took on the government, the United States government, which is the most powerful government in the history of the world, that was built off the backs of slavery and telling black people that they are less than human. And they were just like, word, fuck you, straight to your face. It's incredible. Like, that level of strength is something I think people often, like, downplay because they weren't, like, physically fighting or something like that. But the level of strength it would take for you to go to DC, a place that literally passes laws, to tell the world that you are less than, to then be like, by the way, we're going to use the laws that you have on the books to kick that shit right back in your face. And you're going to let us have this march because you wrote in your book that this was, you wrote in your constitution that this was allowed. So we're going to use your own laws against you to fight you and then to try to change the country. Like, you can say whatever you want about, like, where the country is now and everything else. You can hyper nuance that to death, right? To then act like none of this shit mattered. But these guys literally changed the trajectory of the United States and changed the trajectory of every single black person in this country from then to any black person born after that moment. Like, they simply did. And arguably, they changed the trajectory of black people in the world. This is a couple of niggas from Philadelphia. Like, that's insane to me. Like, it is. It's insane to me that we don't talk about that. And that's why when people talk about, like, black American history being American history, you have to understand that if you're going to talk about rebels and shit like that, Paul Revere and all this other shit, you got to talk about these guys because they did something that no one was capable of doing before them.
Yeah, because at least three of us are only one generation removed from it.
Right.
One. My father was born in 1951. My mother was born in 1954. Like, they were alive when this stuff happened, yo.
Yep.
Like,
That's insane.
My parents were. My mother was.
Oh. All right, so two of us. God damn.
well, two of us.
No, wait. She was born the year the Civil Rights Act was passed.
Oh, she had it easy. It was already done by then.
Like, niggas, y'all got it good at that point.
Yeah, she part of the problem. Like, what's wrong?
Hasn't it always been like this?
I think it's so easy to take for granted their work, especially, like, as you guys said, when you're several generations removed from it. But also, like, and I think this is so great that Barack and Michelle Obama helped make this film, because a lot of this was about community organizing and making sure that people believed enough in the cause to really come together to pull that through. I thought it was interesting how they made a note to always say how many buses, how many water fountains they had, like the incredible effort to be able to lead that many people to put this together. I mean, that is so. I mean,
2 months. In 2 months.
That's insane, man.
So, I mean, of course, we all love and respect Dr. King, so this isn't about anything about him, but it's nice to have a movie about civil rights that's not focused on him, because I feel like he's like the go-to card for almost anything related to this movement. And we know there's so many people who helped, as you just said, Jay, like just change the trajectory of Black folks, and not just even Black people, but everyone, because the civil rights process is for everybody. But yeah, the scene like where the police officer basically threatens him with the power of the U.S. government, and he's just like, well, I hope you give him something to do, and then just walks away. I was like, yes. But also I'm like, I could never do that. I was like, I would terrifying. I was like, they could just shoot you like right now.
But again, like this idea, like people talk about the civil rights movement like, oh, they was out in their Sunday best and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, nigga, they were out in their Sunday best, taking on the most powerful government in the world. Like, it's unbelievable. And like, and most of these guys, I mean, Bayard was young, but most of these guys were young, or he was older, but most of these guys were young too, which is, I mean, look, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people out there fighting the good fight and civil, you know, working on civil rights right now. I'm not saying that they're not doing it. I'm just saying that you can do that because these guys did it. That like whatever you're doing, and that takes nothing away from that. You're out in the streets. You're knocking on doors. You're calling out government on to their face or on social media, all that stuff. But you stand on the shoulders of fucking giants, like you quite literally do. So yeah, I agree with you. It's a good thing that people like Rustin are being discussed now, just because. Again, he crosses a bunch of lines that I think people try to pretend don't exist, and they absolutely do. So, yeah, this is worth the price of admission. It really is. So, Mike, do you want to start, or should I start?
In 1954, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled segregation was unconstitutional. Even so. This is how the movie starts, and with those words, and we see a close-up shot of a Black woman. All of a sudden, you see mumbo sauce being poured on her head because she was sitting at a counter, and a bunch of the extras from Greece decided that they wanted to terrorize these people performing this.
The fact that that they're just allowed to do that, and
again,
like every time I see the pictures of those those sit-ins when they used to sit at the fucking front at the counters and just be beaten, not beaten, but abused just because they were sitting at a counter.
Yeah, I don't know if I have that kind of strength.
I don't have. I don't.
I do.
I would come back and lit that motherfucker on fire.
Yeah,
but I couldn't do it.
But again, that's the opening credits, and it's like, could you sit at a counter and let these people?
Nope.
Vocally and
I'd have died. I would have died. Back in the 50s, I probably it's a little different. But me, I would have died because they would have beat me to death because I would have stabbed someone in the face with a fork.
You're not going to just pour ketchup on my head and just grab it. Yeah, I'd flip out. But people couldn't handle that, let alone everything that comes after that, right? Like it's wild. And again, those young kids were tough as nails. Like they really were. They did things that people cannot imagine. And they talk about the shit as if it's nothing. It's not nothing. It seems like nothing because somebody did it for you. That's why, right? Go ahead, Michael.
We also see, a little girl being escorted to school by armed guard, and another young woman just walking along, minding her business, and lo and behold, a bunch of white women harassing her. Right, that's the pre-credits to Rustin.
Still alive.
So
isn't she? What is it,
just to
Ruby,
warm
what's her
you
name?
up.
Ruby Ridge, Ruby something.
Not Ruby.
No, that's some FBI shit, right? What's the woman's name?
I can't remember.
Still alive. I know.
Ruby Bridges.
I think Ruby Bridges.
Ruby Bridges. There you go.
Close
Ruby
enough.
Ridge. The fuck?
It's sort of the
look. I can't laugh. I can't laugh. I almost said Ruby D. I can't laugh.
Yeah, that's who I thought it was. I was like, no, let me Google that. Way off. Yeah. So look, Baltimore Public Education. Sorry, guys.
Speak for yourself. Nigga, I knew the name. I just fucked up the last name.
Look. What did Micah say? He ain't say nothing, right? He was quiet because
He didn't say shit.
He didn't say shit.
First or last.
Right. Yeah, pipe down. Yeah, go ahead.
We cut to a scene of A. Philip Randolph trying to pitch an idea to Martin Luther King to lead 5,000 Negroes into Los Angeles to disrupt the Democratic convention. And he's like, nah, yo, I ain't doing all that. That don't seem like a good idea.
That's wild.
He said, I'm not your man. And then we get the first scene of our star, Coleman Domingo as Bayard Rustin.
He just comes out of the fucking the shadows.
One of my favorite things about the relationship between Rustin and King is that King is seen as a smaller man, right? Where we have always seen King as this figure of like godlike figure, right? Like not even a man, right? The only time you really get to see him as a man in anything I can think of in at least recent history is Selma, right? Like they actually show him like having faults and, you know, cheating on Coretta and stuff like that. But 9 times out of 10, you see him as like a Christ-like figure, right? He's perfect. Which is not to take anything away from King at all. But in this, Rustin is always like, yeah, what you're doing is fine. You could be doing more, right? Like, and it's all the way up until the end where when King gives the "I Have a Dream" speech, right? Which again, they don't make that the pinnacle of the film, right? Which I appreciate it. But what he does is like you almost see Rustin like a proud parent to be like, I got you there. Now you go. Right. Like, and it's a dope perspective to show King. And like, cause he even talks about like not too long after that clip in the movie, he actually talks about how he's the one who taught King about nonviolence, right? Like King wasn't always on that. Right. So like this idea of he's the one who shepherded King along to who we know him as is kind of dope. Like it's kind of dope to see like the guy behind this fucking superhero that we know, right? Like that's kind of interesting. It gives a perspective on who King is in a different avenue. And I appreciate it that they kept the focus on Bayard instead of just being like, oh, Martin Luther King's in the room. You know, you slide the star to the side for a bit, let him shine. Like they don't do that. He's always seen as like learning from Bayard the whole time, which I appreciate it.
So, I agree. I think it's a really good perspective. It all wasn't just one guy. It can't be, and even that guy, like that's an incredibly awesome responsibility. Hey, put your people on your back, right, and carry them to the promised land. Like they make up stories about that, you know what I mean, and put them in Bibles, right? Like because that is something that is not, and even now, right, in DC, there's a 50-foot like stone statue of King, but there, it's always more. It's always more than just the one, and that's why movies like this need to exist. Because, like you said, I didn't know who Bayard Rustin was, and I'm seeing, I'm looking at reviews and like Google reviews and stuff, and people are like, "Oh, finally, someone is telling this story for this person," and I'm wondering, like,
yeah, okay.
I heard his name maybe 3 years ago for the first time, and I still wasn't 100% sure what he did. But yeah, like Martin Luther King was just like he did a lot, but he was essentially the figurehead, right? He was the mascot for the civil rights movement.
Yeah, no,
but he was very fucking. He could speak very well, and
right, and you need that. You need somebody who can take the ideas and synthesize them into a speech that the average person can listen to and be like, I agree with that shit, right? But like you cannot have a Martin Luther King without a Bayard Rustin. Like you just like quite literally, he would not be the same man if it wasn't for Rustin's influence. That's clear. So this is dope.
It was like a 20-year difference.
Yeah,
Bayard Rustin was like born in 1912. He was born a year after my great grandmother. Crazy. And I think Martin Luther King was born in 29. So yeah, there was like a 20-year difference between the two.
Right.
So he was basically like a fucking father figure to him.
Yeah. That's not a perspective on King you've ever seen, right? Like,
right.
His,
so
his
dope.
gay father.
Yeah, his gay dad. Like, his gay stuff.
My gay dad.
It's fine. Good.
What I took away from that scene is that like the belief in MLK that Rustin had. I wonder if that belief came from Rustin being so confident in himself and being so sure. Like what I mean is like him being so open about who he was as a person and having that kind of using that self acceptance, I guess, in a way to inspire other people. Like that's what I kind of took from it. Like, and I read that he was like sort of MLK's spiritual mentor, but I feel like in order to kind of be as influential as Bayard Rustin was behind the scenes, you have to be so unapologetically yourself in that moment, and that's where I think that kind of influence came from towards MLK, at least in that scene.
Yeah, but that's fascinating, right? Like their relationship in and of itself is fascinating. It's not like King doesn't know who Rustin is. Like Rustin doesn't pretend.
Yeah, because they allude to like that they're lovers to try to fuck with them.
Yeah, right. They try to ruin his career by doing that, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not as if King doesn't know who he is. Like, oh, yeah, Rustin's a gay man. I didn't know that. Like, I've known that nigga 20 years. Like that's not true, right? He's well aware of who he is. But what is fascinating to me is that in 1960, here is a reverend working alongside an openly gay black man, but their goal is the same, which is the liberation, the civil rights of black people, and whatever they feel about, sexual orientation or whatever, they don't let that destroy the end goal, which is the liberation of black people. And actually, they're friends, like they're actual good friends. And they're not like, oh, I work with that nigga just because I have to. It's not like that. They're actual friends. So it's funny because it looks like when you compare 1960 behavior, like, and of course that's not everybody, but somebody who black people unbelievably respect, like almost universally respect, Martin Luther King. It's amazing that we have backslid on that so much, right? Like, you know what I mean? It's wild that like he's not hiding who he was friends with and who he worked with and who he got us to where we are. But yet when we get there, we have this backslide. I just find that incredible. So, and again, that's why it's important to tell this story. Because King King doesn't steal up his own spine early in their relationship and falters, but he learns a lesson to protect his friend later on. Right. And it's interesting to notice like the difference in where he is in the beginning of the film to the end too. Right. So yeah, this is a fascinating story. It really, really is. All right, Micah, you're on mute.
We get a scene of Democratic Congressman Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Talking with NAACP chairman, not chairman. I can't.
Roy Wilkins. he was in leadership for the NAACP basically. The executive.
They're talking, and they're like, Adam Powell is like, man, you know how hard I've been working with these fucking white people to be able to get to where I am now and to get us where we are now. Like, they need to call this shit off, right? And Roy Wilkins is like, man, this nigga Rustin got this motherfucker Martin Luther King thinking he the goddamn king and shit. He got delusions of grandeur and shit.
It's wild to hear them talk shit about each other. Yeah, this shit is crazy to me, yo. It's crazy.
And he's like, and Powell's like, well, look, I'm gonna call the good Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's office and tell him if he don't call this shit off, I'm a tell him that he fucking Rustin.
I mean, that's what he basically says. That's what he says.
I'm gonna tell the truth about Martin Luther King and his queen.
Yeah,
and I don't mean Coretta. I was like, damn.
Like, yeah, he was a real piece of shit. Yo. He was a real piece of shit. Yeah, Adam Clay Powell was a real dirtbag, yo. Like I was reading up on him. It's like really, you got busted for corruption a couple times. Shocking news. Like, yo, you're not a good person. Yo. You're not a good person. But yeah, he's like it is. I mean, he did some good things too. Don't get me wrong, but he has really played.
He's a nigga. Okay, that's why. I'm looking at.
I mean, look at his straight ass hair. I mean, you know.
He looks kind of like what's the Supreme Court justice that unfortunately what's his name took over from.
Oh, Thurgood Marshall. Yeah, he looks like Thurgood Marshall. Yeah, he does. He does have a little bit of that. But like the idea of them, like this is the other aspect of the 1960s, right? It's like willing to weaponize Rustin's sexuality to try to, like, not even because Rustin wants to do something terrible. He's like, I want to have this march in LA. He's like, yeah, but you're kind of fucking up the Democratic Party convention. Like, not trying to have that shit. Those are my people. So why don't y'all just knock this shit off? Like, but all these guys, I'm sure down the line would be like, the March on Washington, one of the most important things. We're so glad it happened, yada, yada, yada. Like, you niggas were trying to destroy this guy like just a few years before that, right? And quite literally were successful in that moment, right? So it is wild to then see these guys be like, oh, you know, I really stand for black people. Like, some black people, when they do what I want them to do, right?
Basically, he's trying to fuck up the status quo, right? And he doesn't want that. And look, I understand that. I really do, right? Like, we say it all the time, like, change is like turning a ship, right? It doesn't happen on a dime. It takes time, right? And that is the main thing that super leftists and basically like liberal anarchists want to do nowadays, right? Like, they see themselves as the Bayard Rustin. And I think it's a little different because
you're not
because he was willing to actually do the work.
Yeah, that's a big
as opposed to, you know, telling people not to vote and that's it. Like, and not coming up with any solutions, not trying to form a peaceful protest, because that, like, stuff like that is work. And look, I'm not doing it, right? I'm not knocking you, right? But I'm also like not saying that, like, you know, we need to burn it all down and start over,
right? Which was not Rustin's point. He was like, no, right. He was like, we need to force them to change the country. That doesn't mean you burn it down and be like, let's all figure it out together. No, guess what? It will be worse the next time. Like, that's a terrible idea. It is interesting, right? Like, but to have all of these civil rights guys fighting amongst themselves, it's just wild to me. It's just very, very wild.
So Randolph talks to Rustin, and he's like, "Look, they trying to put kibosh on this. They're gonna say that you and Martin are docking." And Rustin is like, he's not even my type, right? And,
Yeah, he literally says that. He was like, he's not, yeah.
Right.
Like, again, like, Rustin was a badass motherfucker. He's like, no. Yuck.
yeah, it's like whatever, yo.
Like,
Nah.
he's too old and black.
Docking, no. Docking. Come on, bro.
That's great.
Half the people
Did you know what it was? You knew what it was. All right.
Look, people listening to this don't know what that is. They don't know what that is.
Don't look it up.
Google it. Google it. Not with your kids around, but Google it.
And
something
and he's
down.
like, and Rustin's like, look, I'm gonna come in there and I'm gonna meet with them face to face, and Martin gonna be there, and we're gonna hash it out, we're gonna talk it out, and Martin gonna be like, yo, I back my boy, right? Like this the old man, this is my big gay stepdad, right? Like I love this. I'm gonna back him, right? And he gets there, and Martin folds, right? He folds like a chair. Right. He's
Well,
like,
he wasn't expecting all of them to actually be there. He thought he was going to give the resignation to Martin. Martin was going to be like, nah, and then they would be like, all right. They were going to like fucking skip out the office and be like, what happened now? But then all the guys were there. He was like, oh,
shit.
yeah, and you know, he's like, yeah, he basically was like, oh, I thought it was
Y'all ambushed.
Yeah, they ambushed him, yo, and Martin was like, hey man, we thank you for your service. Peace out. A couple of years later, we're at a house party, and there's I don't know what this house party's for, but this guy who looks like not Chiwetel Ejiofor.
I hate you. I hate you so much. That is 100% accurate description.
He is. He's talking with this black guy is talking about how like the cops like were fucking with him, and then this white guy interjects and is like, I know what you mean, brother, or some shit, right? His name's Tom because like white guy, right?
Yeah, like
and
that's his actual name though. Like that's
yeah,
like,
that's the real person. What Tom Hahn or whatever, right?
Tom Kahn. But it's wild because like on Wikipedia, it's just like Gus Halper as Tom. Like that nigga's got a last name. Yo, he's like a major civil rights person. They're like, don't even worry about that. This nigga's name is Tom. They're like, just skip it. Anyway, go ahead.
And he's like, and he comes in and is like, I hear you, brother. You know what I mean? Like, fucking pigs, man. Am I right? And then not Chiwetel Ejiofor was like, what the fuck do you know about being black? Huh? And he starts agitating the guy, and, you know, they start pushing and shoving, and Rustin comes in and is like, come on, man. Come on, I'm a pacifist now. Now, if you got to take it out on somebody, take it out on me. Again, that's a level of strength I don't have. I'm not taking a punch for most people. All right. And matter of fact, one person on this panel is who I would do it for. And even then, you're going to owe me a burger or something, yo. Like
I assume it's Tiara. Like I just assume I really don't assume it's me. I've known this nigga the longest of all you. I do not assume it's me. Like I'm gonna get hit right in the face. He can be like, "Damn, you all right? You good?"
I was like,
damn.
I was gonna say, like, Micah, I'll buy you a crab cake if you take a punch from me or whatever. Like, thanks, I guess.
Like the wild thing is, I'm not like if it was me, I'm not buying you a burger. Like, knock it off. That was your sacrifice. You chose that.
I'd be like, nigga, I didn't tell you to do that shit.
Like, man, damn, you a better friend than me. That's crazy, dog. Right,
like, damn, that's wild. Damn, bro.
Yeah, stop
like,
crying.
damn,
Get up. Stop crying. Dust yourself off. Let's go.
Y'all are fucked up.
Like you didn't say who it was. I know it ain't.
And I'm not going to now because what the fuck? I rescind my punch.
Yeah, I was
I'm
right.
buy you a crab cake. What the hell?
Like, no.
Crab cakes ain't cheap.
Nah, they really
Not
not
out
cheap.
there.
Crab cakes like $70. Yeah?
Yeah. No, see,
First
she
of all,
got you up.
first of all, I don't want a California crab cake. It'll
No.
probably be some
Yeah,
fucking big ass Dungeness crab or some shit. Like, nah,
they pan fry them or whatever.
Get
All right,
get out
no,
of here, yo.
all right.
Get out of here.
You know
Get
what?
out of here.
what? That's not a crab cake.
But a bunch
I
of
know.
a breaded hockey puck. Get out of here, yo. They don't know what they're doing. Turns out, Bayard and Tom no last name. They were getting it on because Bayard, gay man, is still a man, and we see a scene of them, and basically he's like, hey man, like, don't, yeah, I know you're trying to help, but like, watch that shit, yo. Like,
Shut up. Like, pipe down. Well, and like he tries to he pushes at this idea of like, look, you're fighting all these agendas. You want to have this, you want to be this, you want to get back in the civil rights game type of shit. It's like, and he keeps bringing up Martin, and he's like, look, when it comes to Martin, like, I get to say that this is enough, right? Like, you don't get to try to call me out about this shit. Like, you're not me, right? So it's him and Tom have an interesting relationship. It's weird. Like, I get it. Like, they're having sex. Okay. Like, again, he's a gay man, but he's a man. Like I get it. Right. So, but their relationship is, it's sort of one of mutual respect, but then they have this component of like this like very serious intimacy, but clearly like they're not together romantically either. So it's, I don't know. This is like boy toy type of shit, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, from there,
so
he starts to get inspired again.
Yeah, his mojo gets going, and we see a scene, which is the germ of the idea of this incredible, like this 2-day event, a 2-day long protest in the heart of the seat of government of America. And this is like a montage for political civil rights nerds, right? Like you see this is the equivalent of Rocky training in the snow. You know what I mean?
Like, oh, then we're gonna do this idea, and then we're gonna do this. It's like, oh shit, they're at the mountaintop, right? Like that's
all right.
That's what it is.
All right, look, I'm gonna put myself out here, okay? And I feel like I'm amongst friends. Well, maybe not, but I used to feel like I was amongst friends, okay? But I don't trust white people when it comes to stuff like this. Like, hey, let's
these civil rights demonstrations.
Yeah, like I don't like I feel like it's all lip service until you actually do something, right? And like these people are doing stuff, right? Like these people
these are people
real.
They're the real deal.
Yeah, they're the real deal. But like, even then, like, I don't know, yo. You gotta take a punch for me, yo. You gotta take a punch for me. You gotta take a fire hose
week. Like, did you get in a fight this week? This seems like a recurring theme.
I'm just saying, yo, you gotta take a fire hose for me. You gotta take a fire hose for me. I'm not saying you gotta take and I look good. That's wonderful. I'm glad.
Did they also to get bit by a dog for you too?
I mean, if you get bit by a dog for me, we blood brothers at that point.
Oh, you bleed? That's a shame.
But I will beat that dog off of you, and I will enjoy it. But
of course you would. Like I get that sentiment. I'm sure there was. I mean, I can't obviously speak from direct experience, but I'm sure there was hesitation of that, right? Of like, can you really trust these people? Like, are they infiltrating the movement to try to tear it down? I'm sure there was also that too. I would bet $1 million that there were white people who were like, oh yeah, I'm in it with you guys, and they're like spying for the FBI or some shit like that. I'm sure that happened. Of course, it would be naive to believe that it didn't happen. But yeah, I mean, these type of folks, yeah, they're sitting at, counters, getting their fucking heads cracked in. They're, doing these walks and getting fire hose and everything else. I mean, I guess that's the only way is like, you willing to get fucked up right next to me. Like that's the only way you could just have any level of security around it. But I can completely understand the notion of like not trusting it. Sure.
Like, look, Jack, we all know Jack, right? Jack is a real one. Okay. Like Jack is a wild dude, but Jack is a real one. And I use this as an example. Me and Jack went to a baseball game. First of all, like me going to a fucking baseball game with a white person, like I must really like that white person, right? If I'm gonna go to a baseball game, and they sing the national anthem in the beginning, and this was like at the height of sitting down for the anthem, and they were like, "Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem, whatever," right? And Jack looked at me and was like, "So we sitting, right?" And I said, "Yeah."
I'm sitting at least. I ain't
and he said, and I said, "Yeah." He said, "Cool." And we sat there, while everyone else was stood up, and like the lemmings they were, and put their hands over their hearts and all that shit. And I was like, wow, like he had to do that shit, right? Because like it's an embarrassing feeling, not embarrassing, but it's
it makes you a target.
It's a weird feeling, right? Like, because one, you're sitting down, right, which means you as Star Wars Episode 3, The Phantom Menace told us, they have the high ground, so they win, right? And so you're in a vulnerable position, and everyone is all hopped up on jingoism juice, right? Like, but here was Jack, like with me, while we're surrounded by a bunch of fucking South Baltimore
at an A's game,
right? While they sit there being respectful of the anthem until the part that goes,
all right. Suddenly you could just be any idiot, right? Like, here's the thing. I appreciate that, but here's the thing about Jack. He'll eventually hear this, I'm sure. Jack also would love to get into a fist fight. I feel like he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna sit down."
Yeah, he's the type.
He'd be like,
but look, if you're gonna get into a fist fight, get into a fist fight for a good cause.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But like, I can totally see Jack be like, "Oh, we sitting down, like, all right, like for real, we gonna like, all right, like if somebody gonna say some shit, like we gonna fight, right?" Like he would just that's the type of dude he is. Like he just is.
He wouldn't. He'd have been in mid swing before you. So we doing the okay.
Oh damn, he already.
Don't shit. That nigga's already falling down the steps. Okay, well, I guess we should be getting up and leaving now because.
Sorry for my white friend. He's a bit of a menace. But yeah, like I totally understand that idea of being distrusting of white people in the civil rights movement. It'd be fascinating to talk to black people back then who had interactions with them. But like, how did y'all feel about that? It's probably like, oh, I saw that nigga get his head fucking hit with a nightstick right next to me, so I figured he was in it. Like I bet that's a lot of it. Like, what else can you say? I guess you have to trust, and like we've always said, like you cannot fix the issues that white people have caused in this country when it comes to race. Like we can't fix it. White people have to fix it. Like they do. We can bring it up. We can mention it. We can try to make you give a fuck. But until you take the power to change the systems because you are the ones who are in control, it will not get fixed. So you kind of have to have white allies to some degree, whether you want them or not. So, I mean, it's wild.
I don't mind seeing some of these niggas getting nightstick nowadays because we need their help.
Yeah. Yeah, but but people not really trying to do that. They're like, I'll help you behind the keyboard. Like,
I will reshare your post to my stories. I will amplify your TikTok.
Excuse me. I put a black square on that day.
I put a black square.
Knock it off.
What more do you want from me?
Like literally anything else. Literally anything else. Yeah, it's just utterly ridiculous. So like at this point, Rustin goes over to Philip Randolph, and he's like, "Listen, I want to get like back in the game, right? Like he's been kind of out of it for 3 years. He's watching what Martin is doing, and he's doing some like stuff that is not utilizing his power, basically. And he's like, look, I want to get back in the game. I have this idea for this massive march on Washington, like Michael was saying. And you know, Philip Randolph was responsible for like integrating the military. Like this guy is he's not a nobody. So when you know Bayard's like, look, I want to do this, he's like, all right, let's fucking do it. And so he then takes it. Randolph takes it to the NAACP, and a bunch of other black leaders like Medgar Evers is there, and what's his face, Roy Wilkins, played by Chris Rock, who's in NAACP leadership, and they're basically trying to explain they want to have this march. And Roy Wilkins asks him like, okay, how many people do you want to have at this thing? Like, and he says, oh, I want to have 100,000 people. And they all scoff and they're like, 100,000, like that's not going to happen. And then they have this other guy who we'll talk about, you know, kind of like break down these statistics as to why that's not possible because of past, you know, demonstrations at the White House and things like that, and like trying to knock down the idea. And this is where kind of Rustin comes in to basically point out how wrong they are. Like this is like the movie is really getting moving now. Like once it's starting to get into this whole idea of the actual 1963 march. Like every clip of him after this is just like he's just barring niggas up the entire time in this movie. Like it's just insane how well written it is. But even that idea of letting the courts decide what civil rights are for everyone, incidentally, is ridiculous. Like, yeah, they passed the law, but it is ridiculous to just base how you feel about whether somebody should be treated as a human being based on the courts. It's just utterly stupid. So yeah, it's just really
funny how that works.
Yeah. Again, I feel like if you're not good at understanding subtext and like, you know, connecting to, you know, issues that are happening today, you're going to miss a lot in this movie, right? Like these lines are written for a fucking reason because the shit is not different than what we are dealing with in 2023. It's crazy. Did you guys have any other thoughts on that particular scene?
I mean, it's also just Rustin and not so many risks telling them that don't get too comfortable. Just because the NAACP had this major win, the battle's not over. You have to keep pushing. Also, like just listening to that scene again, I can't even hear Chris Rock as the character he's playing. I just hear Chris Rock playing a character, like as if he's.
Have you talked to Martin? Like you can really hear, like you can definitely
Martin Lawrence.
Yeah, it's just kind of wild. It's kind of wild.
No,
Yeah, he's not a character actor.
He's not
at all.
He's not. He's trying though. He's trying. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at the performance, but like he trying. Like he's doing his level best, and that's all we can ask.
Yes, he is. He is. But no, just Rustin again, just making sure that they don't get too complacent with where they were.
Yeah,
that's
Yeah, amazing. So
message.
Yeah. Hello.
For today. There's an election next year, guys. Just
pay attention.
Just saying.
So in that clip, the guy who was like giving the statistics about the previous marches is a character named Elias Taylor, played by Johnny Ramey, by the way, who I thought actually did a very good job in this. And he's this like budding preacher who wants to, also, he's clearly, a civil rights person as well. And he is clearly a very bisexual man. He's married. He finds Bayard, what I would argue is like kind of captivating, right? Like he's just like, I mean, I think obviously he has a thing for him, but I think from a civil rights perspective, he just finds him deeply captivating. It's like what he's been able to accomplish and all this other shit. And so I think he also kind of regards himself as kind of the new guard. And so they go out for drinks, and there's the obvious like sexual tension between the two of them. And like you come to find out that Bayard was actually raised Quaker, which is interesting. That informs
weird.
Yeah, I mean there are black Quakers. Like there's a major Quaker school in Baltimore. Like it is. My nephew goes there.
Is there? Do they make oats?
Friends at Wolfe School.
Shut up,
nigga. Yeah, right. It's a good school.
It's a vocational school, and they make the oats there and shit.
You're an asshole. But the Quakers obviously have long preached nonviolence, right? So that has always been their thing, anti-war, from the get-go. So you come to find out that about him, which makes sense as to why he has such an affinity for the nonviolent movement. And so Elias again is like totally falling for him. You come to find out like, yeah, they're having drinks at this bar, but like he's like, hey, it's cool, like don't worry. It's a gay bar at this time, right? And he kind of looks around and it's all guys, right? So he's safe to be who he really is, and not just pretending anymore. And so he basically comes on to Bayard, and he's like, like teach me how to be this, open person, right? Because he is incapable of it. But before he says that, Bayard has a line to him that I thought was really interesting that kind of kicks back to something later on. And it sort of proves this idea of the hypocrisy of being this like deeply religious person and not being who you really are. And look, I get why Elias in 1963 would not want to do that. Like he's also married to a woman, probably a bit of a problem. But Bayard is not
apparently knows who he is, because like later on there's a kind of not necessarily a conversation. She's just like, "Look, nigga, tell my husband to get his black ass home." You know what I'm saying? And she knows what's up, so it's kind of like, okay, I guess.
But it's wild, right? Like, does she know that about him because she finds out about him in Bayard, like, or does she know that about him before that? Right, like I don't know. Right, the movie doesn't state it, but clearly, by when she does find out that they're together, she's just like, I'm just gonna sweep this under the rug and just pretend like this is not a thing, so I can continue on with my Christian marriage. It's like, okay, that's weird.
I mean, lied.
I mean, and it's so interesting with that scene, right? Because like the way it comes about, she's not in line to receive, I guess, an inheritance from her dad. Like, was it the church or whatever? And so she's facing that short end of the stick just because she's a woman. And then she has to put up with a husband who is closeted gay and won't accept himself. Shitty situation for her to be in. Yeah, feel sorry for that woman.
It's kind of like the current Speaker of the House and his wife. Bit of a weird situation with that one. I don't know if you guys have heard about that. Like,
no.
Yeah. So that guy tried to adopt a 16-year-old boy when he was 25 and single. Bit weird. Bit weird.
Nigga, what are you talking about?
Yeah. He was 25, tried to adopt.
And single?
And he was saying, yeah, a single dude. No, let me adopt a 16-year-old. Why though?
Why?
Why?
For what?
Yeah.
Nah, man. And you also got your son like monitoring your fucking porn content.
Right.
What?
So yeah.
Like, come on.
And, no, hold on. It gets better, right? So he tried to adopt this kid at 16. He eventually gave up on the long adoption process. I'm like, yeah, they probably were like, you're 25, and that's fucking weird. No.
Was this like a foreign kid?
I don't think so. I don't think so. No, I think inside the U.S. And so him and his wife entered a covenant marriage where they are not allowed to get divorced unless the church says so, which I guess is not that. That's a bit weird, right? But you know what the really weird part is? They're so together and they love each other so much. She didn't even come to the to like when he was announced as Speaker of the House. Like she didn't come. A little odd, but sure. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's probably totally normal. Like, yeah. By the
way, Micah caught it.
I heard it.
hitting them fucking sniper shots and then.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
He advocated for sodomy laws and criminalizing homosexuality. Mike Johnson?
Yeah. No, he's gay. Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, what's
like if you go that hard in the paint? If you go that hard in the paint for that shit, it's wild, dude. You gay? Like, I'm sorry.
Look, Matt Gaetz did the same thing. His adopted son that he didn't fully adopt, Nestor, he did the same thing. He was like 25 years old, and that kid was 16. Yeah.
Oh,
Nestor, what? Like that sounds like
I know, yo.
It
doesn't sound real. It doesn't sound real. Yeah.
One of the white guys in this movie.
These dudes are wild. They're crazy wild.
One of the white dudes in this movie, he looked just like Matt Gaetz to me, and it kind of took me out the movie for a bit. I can't remember.
That is unfortunate for that guy. But like that sort of like closeted, and again, that's not harping on gay folks. These are people who are deeply closeted.
Yeah, Tim Scott, all of them.
Tim Scott's new girlfriend. Tim Scott has a new girlfriend, doesn't he?
Yes, sure he does. What does she look like?
Is she a white woman?
Does she go to a different school?
She's from Canada. She doesn't live around here.
Y'all haven't seen Tim Scott's new girlfriend?
Yeah, she's a white woman. I saw her.
Yeah, she's a white woman.
I haven't seen her. No.
Look. Yeah. The best.
They've been together for a long time.
Look. The best joke I heard was from Andy. Like, oh, Tim Scott's girlfriend showed up just after the actors' strike was over. How which is fucking hilarious.
Also, the Elias character is made up for the film.
Yeah, it's made up.
And the Elias character uses religion later on in the movie to try to convince himself that his desires of the flesh or whatever are just sinful or whatever.
Yeah, just a little bit of sin, baby. Just a little bit of sin. Don't worry about it. I find it.
God.
Yeah, I find it to be. Yeah. And now that she's been paid, and he dropped out of the race, so she can.
Oh, he did.
The gig is over.
So he can pay her money so he can get the fuck out of it.
Yeah, she's like, all right, we're done with this. Like, I'm trying to be on new episodes of.
How self-hating do you have to be? How self-hating do you have to be?
She's right out of Central Casting, yo.
She's right out of Central Casting. She looks like she's supposed to be in a fucking drug commercial.
Yeah.
Ozempic.
Yeah, yo. Right. Come on.
Like, I don't like it. Nah.
Wait. Is it his wife or his girlfriend?
His girlfriend.
His girlfriend.
Okay, because Google keeps saying Tim Scott and his wife, and I was like, "What?"
Nah, that ain't his wife. That ain't his wife.
But now Google saying Tim Scott girlfriend pictures. That's how you know. Even Google is like, "This shit is not real."
Yeah. Google couldn't even figure it out. They can't keep up.
Mindy Noce?
Yeah. Mindy, not gonna be here next week. Like, get out of here. It's a joke. So Bayard goes back to work because like during the day, I guess he kind of works for this anti-war organization, but his heart is in Black people's liberation, and he's watching on television people being hosed and beaten, Black folks being hosed and beaten in Birmingham when they did a march in Birmingham. and one of his white coworkers says what may be one of the wildest fucking things out of his mouth I've heard in quite some time. The part where he's like, "This is like you became homosexual to hurt your parents." I was like,
hurt
yo,
your family and yourself. I'm like,
yeah, I'd have uppercutted that old man.
But he's not violent. He's
I know that's a real problem. It's a real problem in that situation. Like, but I'm not. He needs a black anger translator. Is what he needs. Like
the part about not wanting to do away with my differences, even if I wanted to.
Amazing.
That part hit so hard, man, because Lord, people swear that if we just ignore each other's differences, the world will be a better place.
If we're just
colorblind.
I don't see color. I'm like, yo.
Like, knock it off.
I hate that shit. What are you, a dog? Get the fuck out of here. I hate that shit, man.
What are you, a
right.
dog?
I hate it.
That's a perfect response. What are you, a dog? Like, but you know, that part, the colorblind part is really annoying. You're yelling at fucking John or whatever because of the color of his skin. Like, no, I'm not. I'm yelling at him because he's an ignoramus. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, white people love to use that. Like, Bud Martin says you shouldn't, judge people by the color of your skin. He didn't say he wasn't black. What the fuck? He wasn't blind. Like, that's not what that statement means.
This is the reason why I don't trust white people in terms of
because these are supposed to be
like
well-meaning white.
Right.
This is white progressive liberalism on the most extreme end, and that's all I absorb in the ether, right? Like, this is what I imagine, right? Like, I've seen tweets shared by people who have the patience to talk to these people, especially during the whole Bernie Sanders, thing, right? The Bernie bros, right? And I saw a guy tweet to a black man something to the effect of, "You are too dumb, and you're not voting in your self-interest," and because he wasn't a Bernie guy. And the white guy was, and there was a lot of like, I'm gonna save you from yourself, and like, go fuck yourself, man. Yeah, like, seriously, like I don't like that shit. I don't like it at all.
Look, I think people should be able to make their own decisions. You can disagree with them. Like, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing. But you don't have to treat black people like they're fucking morons. Like, they don't have their own perspectives, and they don't have... Like, I talk about on Look Forward all the time, like, black people don't have the luxury of voting solely for their self-interest.
Right.
Like as an individual, right? Like, we just don't. White people go, I want this thing, I'm going to vote for it. Like, does that help out people? Great. It doesn't help out people? Also great. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, they can just be a group of individuals. Like, it doesn't matter to them because that's not how the country is set up. I can't vote in a vacuum. Like, it doesn't work like that. His whole point of, you want us to forget about their differences, the world won't let me. That is correct. Right. Like, we are not allowed to be like, throw the shackles of, our color off and just fucking go about the world. No, dude, it does not work like that. That's why I will forever not find it cool or interesting or funny that, like, Rachel Dolezal exists. That woman can kick rocks to the day she fucking dies. I don't find that shit amusing at all. Oh, but she helped black people. No, you pretended to be black. Because you get the opportunity.
Like, what? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, because she has the ability in this country to do whatever the fuck she wants.
Yep.
To do whatever she wants. I don't have the ability to be like the shit from Atlanta. I'm a 35-year-old white man. I love pale ale beers, right? Like, you don't have, like, that joke lands because it's utterly ridiculous coming the other way, and everybody knows it's utterly ridiculous. So it's this idea of letting go of our race. Why don't you just stop talking about race? Even if we don't talk about it, y'all talk about it. So we might as well run the conversation.
I still have to go outside. Like
Yeah.
I am 42 years old. My mother still tells me she still fears for my life when I walk outside. I don't live with her,
Yeah.
but I like. But everyone's like, she's like, I fear for you because you're a black man. Because you're just black and you're outside. And I've been harassed by the cops countless fucking times.
Yep.
Because just because.
The thing that white liberals do, it really is that line about safety and superiority. Because at the end of the day, they don't have any real skin in the game. And then when they find out that they do, it's too late. And the rest of us are kind of like fucked over. Shout out to Roe versus Wade.
Right.
I'm gonna be angry. I'm gonna be angry. Yeah, I'm gonna be bitching about 2016 until the day I fucking die.
Yeah.
Like,
and guess what? Liberals will be like, no, you were wrong. You
were wrong.
You were wrong.
You were 100%
wrong. And you know what the fucked up thing is? They did realize they had skin in the game. White women realized they had skin in the game because then they were like, oh shit, this has to do with us. Yeah, we fucking told you. Now, granted, a lot of women of all races were screaming their fucking heads off, but they weren't screaming at the right time. They were white women did not scream in 2016. They screamed in 2020. And they were like,
black women been screaming.
Black women were screaming the entire fucking time. And you didn't pay attention. You didn't give a shit because you didn't think it would happen to you. Well, it fucking did. And it didn't just happen to you. It happened to all women. And it doesn't just happen to women, by the way. There's also men who are in those families that can't do family planning and shit like that. Everyone gets hurt by this if you don't give a shit.
I was talking to someone recently, and it might have been one of my other non-white friends. And we were talking about
many of them, sister. Come on now.
this person may or may not be East Asian. But we were talking about like being raised a certain way, and they were identified a lot with whiteness, the way that they grew up. Sure. And we were talking about like the possibility of having mixed race children, not together. God, no, we don't want to like put that on.
This person's not listening. God damn.
You're answering a little too fast.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything, Micah.
The speed at which you said that was a little unfair. Go ahead.
Now he'll never listen to this, and if he does, whatever, I said what I said. Wow. But I can only believe this person. But I was like, even if I had kids with someone that was East Asian, they are black kids. The world will see them as black. They're black. It will still be Asian, but they will always be black. Like, full stop. The world will see them as that, even if they were mixed race. And that's, I wouldn't change it for the world, but the world will see them a certain way, like forever, just because they are black.
Yeah, my daughter is biracial, but she's still black. Like in America, she is black. Like she is here, she's black. Like she just is. Like it is what it is. Like it's your race. It's weird, right? Because we'd say, oh, your race is dependent on how you identify, but it isn't though. Like it really isn't. It's how others identify you.
Yeah.
As fucking bizarre as that is, it's true. If society is like, nah, you black, you can keep yelling you can get on your rooftop and yell about it all you want. Like, guess what? What the cops say? You black.
Yep.
Like that's just how it goes. So look,
do you know who Rui Hachimura is? He used to play for the Wizards. I think he plays for the Lakers. He's a basketball player, a mixed race of Japanese and Asian, right? In case you couldn't tell, Hachimura is his last name. And he got in Japan, like he's black, right? Like he ain't passing for nothing, right? And in Japan, he and his brother got teased a lot.
Oh,
why?
Sure.
Because they're black, right?
Yep.
So to your point, right? Like, yeah, they could be mixed race, but like, now you black, and it just.
I've seen a lot of videos of mixed race.
I'd be like, what of mixed race, like,
Japanese, Korean folks who grow up black in those societies, and they are reminded often that they are, black.
100%. You black wherever you go.
Oh, 1998.
Wait, he was born in 19. All right, yo, fuck off. I'm more angry this nigga was born
25.
the year I graduated high school. Yo, that's unacceptable. Yo.
This
How
is
are
what he
people
looked.
being
He's
born this late?
6'8". Oh my god.
All right, wow. He got the best of both worlds for you, huh?
Does he have an older brother though?
I think he is the oldest. I think he is the
Sushi
oldest.
and fried chicken. This is crazy.
Does he have a uncle?
Does he have an uncle? Like a little bit older?
Either side of the family? It's okay.
All right, there you go. Yeah, so at this point, like we see flashbacks of when Rustin actually got beaten up on the bus. He sort of did a nonviolent protest on a bus and was pulled off a bus, and that's why he has like the broken
42.
Like in 42. That's why he lost his tooth and his like side of his face is kind of messed up a little bit.
That scene was super fucked up.
Yeah, why is
Like,
that? I mean, obviously it was.
The sound design. Like, well, it was the sound design. Like and all those white people were watching him get the shit kicked out of by the cops. First of all, that white woman said, "Don't touch that nigger," and I kind of snickered. I'm sorry, that was fucked up. Like, I'm sorry.
It's a level of racism that's just like it's jarring. Like,
wow, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay. Yikes! And then he gets beat the fuck up by the cops. I'm like, God damn it, man.
But the interesting thing is, he says, like, he's like, the cop is like, look, you need to get up or whatever because he's sitting in the front of the bus, and he knows that he's about to be beaten by the cops, and he says, if I get up, the kid will not know what injustice is. So he is willing to get himself beaten up to implant on the mind of a young child that this is not okay. Again, you niggas are not braver than these guys, yo. You're just not. Yo, that's an insane thing to do. But to think like that, right? Like, obviously, I don't know if that was like in his actual mind. I mean, you'd have to watch an interview with him. But like, as it's presented in the film, like, to think that the only way you can change people's minds is for them to see the true horrors of things and to put yourself through that horror. Yeah. No, I'm not built for that. I'm built.
I was going to ask y'all doing that.
No,
for a white baby.
I'm not doing none of this shit. Like, if I'm gonna get beat the fuck, I'm gonna punch the shit out that white woman for calling me a nigga.
Like, you gotta get something before you go.
Really kick my ass about. Get the fuck out of here.
Nah, I'm not just gonna sit on the bus and get beat up. That's crazy. Yeah, that's just to me a very wild scene. And so at this point, Bayard realizes like, look, I gotta go get Martin on board. Like, I gotta bury my bullshit. Like, whatever grudge I've held against him for what happened and like being afraid to talk to him because of what happened those 3 years ago, I got to get over that because I need him in order for this March on Washington to succeed. Okay, so then he goes, like, it's wild. Like, he just takes a cab and just goes to Martin Luther King Jr.'s house. Like, and that's it. Like, there you go. No protection, nothing. Just drive right up to the fucking house. It's funny. His house doesn't look like that at all. I've been there. It's a row house. But okay, sure. He goes and sees everybody, and Coretta's there with the kids, and they're singing, and apparently Coretta was a great singer, and so everybody's having a good time. And Martin is not home. Martin shows up, and
this little kid looks a little bit like Maxwell. I thought that was very funny. like the oldest one. I'm like, oh
yeah, he kind of does. See, Micah kind of looks like TV.
Yeah, he kind of does. He kind of
does. So Martin comes home.
He got this thing. He got this.
He got the head.
You got the little extra back there. So they talk. They try to kind of reconcile or whatever. They talk about how recently Medgar Evers was killed, unfortunately, and how Kennedy had just made this speech, which he thought was like fine. Like Bayard was like, It's not great. Like relax. And Martin says, like, look, man, I missed you. Like, we were friends, and I'm sorry what happened. Like, the shit was fucked up. And Bayard, like, gets right to the business. Like, look, bet we're cool. Don't worry about it. I got this thing I want to do. So, like, let's get to work. And Martin agrees. He's like, all right. Then he gets Martin to announce on TV about the march, which was great. And then the scariest thing in the entire movie happens. Bayard is standing on the street, and fucking Brother Mouzon shows up from The Wire in a bow tie. I would have ran. Like, oh shit, son, here he comes.
Oh shit, this thing about to kill me.
Yeah. And he shows up with the same level of intensity, but he's like a happy guy in this movie, which was great and not scary.
Well, not in the next scene.
Yeah, and he get like, yo, is this the script for The Wire? Like, relax. Yeah, well, he says a couple of things I feel like Tiara would be able to translate for us.
Don't even. I'm
just saying.
Don't even.
There's a bit of patois came out.
Nah,
like,
don't. We don't.
No?
Hey, people can watch the movie. They can hear his accent. He's Jamaican, guys.
Yeah, he real Jamaican. Yeah, he real Jamaican. Right when they throw his ass out, like, he get real Jamaican. So they start talking about the deal, and like what they want to do, and like, you know, they basically said like, all right, everybody out. We're just gonna have the top leaders here. We're gonna discuss whether we want to do this. That's when Tiara's cousin gets real mad and yells, "Suck your mother!" as he gets thrown out, which I found to be hilarious.
Of course you did.
Look, the second he said that shit, I was like, let me make a note. Let me bring this up. Tiara, what the fuck is wrong with your people?
I think we need to retire "son of a bitch" and replace it with "sons of whores."
Sons of whores is pretty good.
Because bitch, you know, that kind of connotates like women, right? But like anybody can be a whore.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. A lot of whore. Well, you know,
So
you know what? You know what? Honestly, right here, buddy, I'm a son of a whore. My dad's a whore. Like he was. He was. He's still out. He's still out there. It is what it is. You come to find out that Philip Randolph comes out of the meeting and they're like, oh, what happened? Because, you know, Bayard's not allowed to be in the meeting either. And they're like, oh, what happened? And Philip Randolph is like, look, first thing they did is they fired Bayard from the board, and then I hired him back as my assistant deputy director and gave him all the power to run this thing. So, yeah, we're doing it. And he's like, great. He's like, I'll be a trash man. Just let me do it. And so they get the backing of everybody, and they start moving. And they have, as we mentioned earlier, as Terrence mentioned, they have 2 months to put this entire march together in 2 months. Like, that's insane. It's absolutely insane. I don't think I could do what they did if I had 20 years, if I'm being honest. Then they go to DC. They're talking to the head of police or whatever at the National Mall. He's being a real prick to them and like didn't bring the National Park Service with them. Like, they're basically saying, hey, this is going to be a 1-day event now. It's not going to be a 2-day event, which is pretty disappointing to everybody. Everybody is they thought that they'd have this big like tents and like this big kind of revival type of thing, but alas. But you know what? I think 1 day was probably worked better. Like, all in all. I think it actually probably worked better because it feels like it has more punch, right? Like, it's like this one moment, not diluted by like a bunch of people talking and a bunch of people doing a bunch of things, like just 1 day event and like making it work. So I actually think it works.
Yeah, but it forces the crowd to be as big as it possibly can, right? Like if you have a 2-day event, like okay,
I
I'm
think
not
go
spending the
tomorrow.
night.
Mosey
I'm
on
not, I'm
in.
not spending the night in a tent, Like I'm gonna just go
I wouldn't
tomorrow.
have. Yeah,
Well,
I
I'm
wouldn't
gonna just
have.
go the first day, right? So,
Like who
uh,
playing? Who playing? Who the openers?
Who all gonna be there?
Who all gonna
Right.
be there? Right, exactly.
right. I ain't going every day of Artscape. All right, I'm going Sunday night. That's usually when the Osley brothers are gonna play or whatever, right? Like that's
Right.
who I want to see.
Go to a 2-day fucking protest.
I'm good.
Like you're talking about, like I wouldn't be able to get hosed down. Like a nigga, you wouldn't even go 2 days to a goddamn. Speaking of, like, nah.
Terrence, I've only been to one like march or whatever. It was with Jay and his wife and my wife.
Mhm.
The only reason I went is because my wife really wanted to go, and I love my wife. I'm gay like that, and otherwise, nah, I ain't doing that. It's not.
That was a women's march, right? Right
I think
Trump was
so.
elected?
Yeah,
after Trump was elected.
Yeah.
yeah, women's march. Yeah.
That was the one where white women were like, "Wait a minute, we might have made a grave mistake here." You think?
Right. Now I gotta go there and be around y'all while y'all are fumbling in your own shit. Like, no, you made this mess.
Yeah,
That's right.
Clean it up.
you didn't talk to your other white girlfriends enough. You didn't take it seriously enough. You just
Oh
didn't.
well.
Now look at you. You're mad. I get it. So then we start to see like fundraising efforts. Like they tell the one dude, he was like I'm supposed to travel to these like 9 cities. Like, what's my budget? He hands him a $10 bill. It was like, he was like, take this $10, go to the first town, raise enough money to get money to go to the next town. It was like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Like, where am I going? From DC to Baltimore? Like, that's about it. But that's the kind of shoestring budget type of shit they had. Like, they just did not have a lot.
They had a $65,000 budget to set this thing up
to
begin with.
To get 200,000 people to DC.
Oof.
But they wanted, it was supposed to be 100,000.
Right, but
that's
I'm
what
saying
they
ultimately
planned for.
Right,
Altogether,
ultimately
200,000
200,000
at the end. Yeah.
Which is nuts. So he's like, look, like just make it work. And so they go all over. They get buses. They get people to sign up who want to come. They get volunteers. They get all of this, right? We also see Elias being a preacher. You know, he's trying to get his parade shit off. The gay bar that him and Bayard were in earlier gets raided, and they almost got caught. More Elias almost got caught because obviously it would matter to him far more than Bayard. We see black women going to like white women's social clubs and asking them to get involved.
Yeah, comfortable.
Look, I mean, again,
Had to be done though.
it had to be done, but it's wild that those white women were like, okay. Like I find that I actually find that to be shocking. But maybe it's to make themselves look good. Maybe it's because they actually give a fuck and they're like, these are groups that actually are supposed to care about things. I don't know. I just find it deeply surprising.
They also, show them appealing to the social aspect of it, right? Because like, as much as like it got on my nerves that Bernie Sanders was, it's all economics, right? Like race has nothing to do with it. It's all about the rich people versus the poor people, right?
Millionaires and billionaires.
Right. Part of that is true, right? Like, the part that's not true is that race has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Right.
Go yourself. But the part that is true is the socioeconomic part of it, right? Like, you got to get poor and working class white people to realize, like, yo, we are in the trenches with you. Gotta appeal to, because like that's the thing that like the system is. It has convinced poor and working class white people that like, yo, you can make it you know, it's just you gotta watch out for them. They're holding you back.
Yeah, you got to
They're
kick
holding
down
back.
black people like you do.
That's what Fred Hampton
Black
did.
people and brown people.
Yeah, and exactly to Terrence's point, that's what Fred Hampton was doing. Like, and that's why they killed him. That's why they killed King too. Right? Like,
That's the 21 years old. Never forget that nigga was a kid.
Yeah, he was a kid.
They killed a 21-year-old
Again,
kid.
we are not braver than these people, yo. Like, again, 21 years old, yo. That's insane. But like that idea of convincing poor white people that you are in the same struggle as black people in this country. Yes, race is a factor, but they are terrified of all the poor people getting together and realizing the game is fucking rigged. They are. That is a thing they are terrified. And look, again, that is the thing Bernie is right about. Like, if you can get all the poor people on board, then yes. The problem is, the part you missed was that race is unbelievably tied to poverty. Like, it just is when it comes to people of color. It is. Like, we are not just poor like that stupid ass movie that you fucking morons who still think we didn't understand white man's burden. No, it's a bad movie. That's how poor of an understanding people had of economics and of race. God, that movie's so fucking terrible. But like, those two things, race and economics, are not disjointed. They are joined. Black people are poor because black people were exploited for literal free labor for generations. It is hard for us to then suddenly get pushed into the middle class and do well. We don't have shit. And once civil rights and everything was passed, we were still denied shit. So even then, once everything was supposed to be even, it wasn't even for more decades or more generations. So like that idea that they're not tied is not only incorrect, it is beyond ignorant to say that. Now, Bernie never said it has nothing to do with race. He just never tried to he like always tried to dodge it, which pissed people off, which is fair. Like, you should be pissed off about that. Look, I supported Bernie. I was like in the primary. But at the end of the day, I'm like, can you get it done? And it was like, oh, look, you didn't get it done in the primary? Well, step aside, Butch. Like, gone. Like, go to the person who can actually get it done. Right? So it's just that notion of, and by the way, I supported him in the primary in 2016, not in 2020. But like, the idea of not talking about race or trying to sidestep it constantly, that's not the move, yo. Like, that pisses people off. You got to meet people where they are. Again, we cannot throw away what makes us different. The world won't let us. Like, it's just a fundamental fact. But, you know, Bernie was probably at this march anyway, right? Like, that was his whole thing. I marched. Well, that was his supporters. His supporters were wild. He was at every march. Him and King, they were just fucking standing right next to each other. He gave a speech. King took the mic from him. He was right there. Like, it just wasn't fair. He came up with, I had the truth.
Did y'all know that Bernie marched with Martin Luther King?
He did. All the time. Constantly. He was
because white liberals love saying that.
Yeah, and then he fucked off to Vermont, the whitest state in the union, where a safe haven where he never had to deal with race ever again. That's great. Cool.
If we could just have socialism like they do in Sweden, another homogenous, ethnic homogenous society. Yeah. Just like Vermont.
If only.
If only
we could do it. So easy.
What's standing in our way, guys?
I can't think of what it is. I just can't think of it.
You in Korean.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. TR Yamaguchi or whatever. Like, get out of here. Like,
whoa, that's racist.
Yeah, just like that dude from the NBA. Like,
that dude from the NBA. His only thing is that he's just too fine.
That's his lot in life. Like,
he is too fine. It's so disrespectful at this point.
Wow. All right,
someone needs to lock him down. That doesn't not me, but someone.
Someone. Okay. All right, let's talk about a weird positive moment with cops. Okay, so there is a scene. This I did not know. I had no understanding of this history at all. Apparently, somehow they convinced all the black cops in the NYPD, which is crazy in and of itself, that they were going to do security at the march, but they trained them in nonviolent tactics because they were not allowed to bring their guns. And so they
couldn't do that shit today. There would be no way in hell
Fuck no. Are you kidding?
That cop would have shot him for insinuating that shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whoa, you tried to take my gun. Okay, yeah, that's cool.
I feared for my life.
Eric Adams would not allow that at all.
No, I don't like that guy, and no one should.
Yeah, that nigga's a clown.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you put a former cop.
Like I said, yo,
married,
it's just something about that nigga I don't like, yo. He just pisses me off.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So there's a scene where you have the one guy who actually threatened to kind of beat up Rustin earlier. He's like fully on board with the march. He is training the cops to like just say wild shit to them that they're definitely going to hear at the march, that they potentially could hear, and to teach them how to be nonviolent. It's a wild scene, and I think it's one of the most powerful scenes, is that idea of being a black cop during the civil rights movement of all moments in history, and like doing your job, and also like you're still a black man in that uniform, which I think has largely fallen away for cops, black cops specifically, over the years. But it is clearly their race was intrinsic to who they were, especially in the scene.
And honestly, probably at this time, this is 63, like they were beat cops. Those cops actually patrolled their own neighborhoods. They don't do that shit anymore.
Yeah.
So they probably knew the people that they were like policing. At least the black cops.
Yeah.
You know.
No, that's a very good point actually. Yeah, I just found that whole idea of them not having their guns in DC is just wild. 1,000 of them, by the way. 1,000 cops. This is just absolutely crazy. After that, we are going to fast forward a little bit. And Jeffrey Wright's back, guys. He's being a real piece of shit. Which is wild because Jeffrey Wright also played Martin Luther King at one point in a movie, which is...
That's right, yeah. Was it the BET movie?
What movie?
Was it? You played Martin Luther King in like King or something. I don't remember the name of the movie.
Trying to think. Yeah, I don't remember the name of it. But yeah, he did in fact. Wait, what? Jeffrey Wright played Jean-Michel Basquiat? Okay, that's all right. That's like
You played Basquiat?
that's wild. That's wild casting, yo. That's like what's the name playing Michael Jackson, yo. Like,
Anthony Mackie playing fucking Tupac.
Flex Alexander.
Yeah, Flex Alexander playing Michael Jackson. Like that shit doesn't register at all for me. Like I got to see an image of that. Like that's no.
Wait,
Okay.
did I see that movie? Was that an HBO movie?
I don't know, but why was he like why? Like that's really fucking weird.
Boycott is the movie he played Martin Luther King in.
Yes, thank you. So at this point, Clayton comes back and he's like, he sits down with him and he's like, hypothetically, would you keep around a guy who, and then he basically is clearly talking about Bayard to his face. And he's like, that's, got this particular way about himself and, could possibly jeopardize the entire black movement and everything else. Would you keep this guy around? And then Bayard is like, I'm sorry, like, are we playing basketball, nigga? Like, you need me to dunk on you in front of all of these people?
I love the scene.
The scene is so good. Yeah, he might as well just had somebody yell bars, nigga. Like at the end of that. Like that shit was it was embarrassing. Like it was embarrassing for Clayton. And I also love the part, I don't know if you caught that, where he goes, when he asks about transportation, and she's like, oh, so many buses or whatever. And she goes, and at Clayton's church, they've offered 5 buses because he was also a Baptist preacher. So even in your hometown at your church, nigga, they're on board. So shut the fuck up. Like that shit was dope. I love it. It was great. That's just such a great scene, and just goes to show you how much those guys, those young people, also, because they should get a lot of credit, accomplished in 7 weeks, which is just unbelievable. And then, like, Clayton actually gets into an argument with Martin Luther King at the table, and he was like, "You may be the top nigga down south," which, I mean, he did hit him with a hard R too, which I did not appreciate. Like, it's not okay, but yeah. So
I'm more upset that he didn't finish it. He didn't say in charge. Like, come on, man. You said head nigga. You know, anytime you say head nigga, you're supposed to say in charge. Like, it just is. It's like a Tribe Called Quest.
Well, Philip Randolph didn't let him finish.
Yeah,
he was like, "That's enough of that shit."
You gotta steamroll that shit, man. You gotta steamroll it.
Fair enough. So then Bayard goes back to DC to see that same asshole cop who was basically said, like, this is going to be a one-day event, and, you know, and kind of treats him like dog shit, telling him, like, all the liquor stores are going to be closed and every white woman, you know, that works for a senator won't be in town, you know, just so you know, because I know how you people are. And, you know, Bayard, again, proceeds to destroy this guy publicly in front of everybody. And it was, again, wonderful to watch. Like, that sound line is so goddamn good. It is so fucking good. But again, I don't know if that guy really talked like that, but whoever wrote that line deserves all the credit in the world. They really do. Like, that line is just amazingly delivered as well. Yeah, like, the deep-seated racism, like, we're gonna make sure, like, no elective surgeries. Like, the fuck are you even talking about? Like, what does that even mean? Like, are black people famous for that? I don't know. But like, no liquor stores. I mean, that's just rude. Sometimes a nigga needs a drink. But yeah, like, that guy thought he was, like, really showing him up. It was like, you're not. You're embarrassing yourself. You're not embarrassing him at all. So from there, we move into there is a bit about how women are not being allowed to really speak during the march. Tiara, you kind of touched on that. Like, what were your thoughts on that?
I mean, I felt like it made sense that even in the conversations about intersectionality, that women, in this case, Black women, were still being left out. It's, again, not a huge surprise, but I'm glad it's something that the movie decided to point out. And I hope when people watch this, again, it's Bayard Rustin was still, yes, he was a gay man, but he was still a Black man, and Black women were still being left out of this movement in certain ways. According to the women who listed literally every other Black female civil rights person who could have participated in this book at the march.
Right. Yeah, it's I'm looking at the 10 speakers. Yeah, there's one woman. Daisy Bates is the only woman who is on the list. So, which is, you know, pretty ridiculous. Like, Josephine Baker apparently made a small speech, but that's it, which is just wild. So yeah, look, again, that idea of intersectionality still excluding Black women from this is crazy, because it's not like Black women, even in the background, are not quite heavily involved in this, right? You know, Bayard's sort of right hand woman, Anna Hedgeman, is there the whole time. You know, played by CCH Pounder. So it's not like Black women are, like, so hyper disconnected from this, and it was only Black men leading the charge. Like, that's simply not true. Again, somebody had made a comment on our YouTube channel, because I would just argue, you're an idiot, so you don't understand what words mean. When we say that Black men are the white people of Black people, let me explain it to you. Again, Black men have a level of privilege that Black women don't have, even inside our own community. Just like white people have a level of privilege inside general American society. That's the point of it. I know you didn't understand because I saw what you wrote. But that's why we say that, because even in 1963, when you're talking about bringing all black people together, how are like 40 to 50% of the people speaking not black women who definitely went through shit too? Just saying. If you don't get it, either you're not smart enough to get it, or you're purposely pretending you don't get it.
Like, it's not rocket science.
It's
So
not
you're
fucking
smart
rocket
enough to get
science.
it.
But again, if you're dumb, just say that. Just say that. Just say that. But dumb people are too dumb to know they're dumb, so it's also a problem. So I might be asking too much. My bad. I have no respect for people like that. So then we see a moment where Elias is, he decides like he's got to go back to his wife and his family. And Bayard says like, look, you're killing the part of yourself. Like you are. And Elias is like, you're a sick man. You need to stop following me. Is that what was happening? All right. We just rewriting history today, buddy. Okay. All right. Y'all two were chest naked on each other a couple minutes ago. Knock it off. And so he clings to his religion as a way to sort of justify what was happening. And Bayard doesn't allow him to just bullshit his way out of it. He's like, nah, dude, you're a gay man, like, and it's okay. But he cannot accept that side of himself. Then there's a full court press by Hoover and the FBI to basically try to destroy Bayard, and they're like, this guy was arrested for he got caught basically having sex with another man in a car in Pasadena, California back in the day, and he pled guilty to that. And like, this is the type of piece of shit person he is. You can't trust this guy. Basically trying to destroy the movement in and of itself, right? I do want to play a clip from that where he basically he goes to Martin and he's like, listen, do they want me to resign again? Right? Because this is now national. This isn't just internal black folks talking about this. This is a national thing. Because you got like Strom Thurmond on the House floor saying this, right? Because Strom Thurmond was a piece of shit. Meanwhile, like balls deep in a black woman having kids, but whatever. Don't let hypocrisy get in the way. Again, like another excellent fucking speech.
God damn, yo. God damn. Like, yeah, look, I don't know if these things were actually said, right? But I feel like they were. I want to believe that they were.
Right.
And I want to believe that like Martin Luther King is sitting there like mentally taking notes on like how to deliver speeches and shit, right? Because like everything I believe Coleman Domingo, yo. Like, I believe everything that this man is saying. Like, it just, I don't know, man. This performance is just wow.
This is an Oscar-worthy performance.
Yeah, I was actually about to say the same thing. I was like, he should be nominated for this.
100%.
If he's not nominated, this is one of the biggest snubs I've seen in a long time. Like, it really is. It's crazy.
I mean, but also like I feel like this is probably my favorite part of the film, and it's fitting that this is actually towards the end of the movie. But the part about the day I was born black was the day I was also born homosexual. Like, to say something like that, if it was said, I imagine something like that was said in the 60s, it's a big deal. And there's still, unfortunately, a lot of people who are doing the work of the oppressors by not seeing that black people are both black and gay, lesbian, trans, all of that stuff. And in the fight for equality or equity, still trying to discriminate against other people.
Yeah.
But it's all the gay agenda. It's all the gay agenda. They are, they're just everyone trying to be gay at this point. This is like 1963, so okay, sure.
This agenda has been running for a very long time, seemingly asking to be treated like equals. What a weird agenda.
Over half a century. Okay.
These guys are clever. They are on it.
They playing the long game.
And now we have equal rights. That's it. Like, we're just gonna go about our day. Nailed it. The agenda has completed. Right? Like, it's very silly to me, but it's that moment of him saying like that, like pointing out, in case you missed it, there is a level of intersectionality here that you cannot ignore, and that he refuses to ignore in himself. Right? And that's a powerful moment. And I think it's a powerful moment. People who unfortunately need to see this will probably not see it or will not get it, which is the problem. They just won't watch it.
Yeah, no, they won't watch this. Oh, and they understand. They just they refuse to just be better.
Yeah, I mean,
that's really it. They refuse. I mean, I don't know how often we have to say, like, when for things like civil rights, it's for everybody. It's so that people don't have to justify, like he said, their existence.
Yeah. I do really love that thought process, that we all are taught how to oppress ourselves, and we do the job of the oppressor by doing that, right? Like, I just put the shit into your head, and then I just let you go, and then you treat yourself like garbage, or you treat another person like garbage, and I don't have to work so hard.
Yep.
Like, I've said that often. Why are you taking the position of white bigotry by shitting on other black people because they're gay or trans? Why? You're not taking the position of black people or a position of equality. You're literally taking up the arguments of what white people used to do to us and still do. Like, I've never understood that.
And that was the issue I had with remember when Dave Chappelle had his comedy special, and he was like 45 minutes of just shitting on trans folks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and he kept talking about why was it easier for like for Caitlyn Jenner to change her name than for Muhammad Ali to not to change his name. And I'm like, first of all, that's not true. Like, and he comes like, Dave Chappelle is a comedian, but at the same time, people look to him for like wisdom and shit.
Yeah.
Kind of, and those jokes, I'm like, well, I understand the jokes, but your jokes posit that there are no black trans people, right?
Yeah, it quite literally.
That was the biggest issue I had. I'm like, well, you say you're giving all these jokes, but like there are black trans folks, so the jokes don't land because you're completely disregarding those people, right. That section of people that exist, and they're the most vulnerable.
Yep.
And like your jokes, I know they're just jokes, but in that particular situation, like they suffer a lot of violence at the hands of black men.
Also, that particular line wasn't being funny in that particular line either.
Right, and that's right.
Yeah,
and like some of these things you're saying, they're not jokes. It's like, oh, he's a comedian, like take a joke. A lot of the shit he was saying, they weren't jokes. And that's the same issue with what's his name? Like when he got caught embellishing, and I'm like, those weren't really funny. Hassan Minaj.
Nothing about that. Nothing that nigga say is funny. I don't know.
It's like,
I know.
But yeah, like this. I don't know, man. That line just made me think of that shit, because you can't be about like freedom for all, but then be like, but not you, because you're gay. Get the fuck
that doesn't work. It doesn't work.
That's stupid. Yeah. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Oh, like Michael Che, also a comedian, has that joke. Like, I can't believe that people like that equal rights is like a thing people argue about. Like, I think we should have equal rights. Nah, I disagree. Like, what?
Right.
What the fuck kind of argument is that? That's not an argument.
Fucking silly, dude.
Yeah. You disagree? Like, on what grounds? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And so, like, what makes Bayard so powerful as a character and as a historical figure, I would say, is that he's not a black man doing all of this and hiding the fact that he's gay, and then that comes out 25 years later or 50 years later, and people are like, oh, he was actually this icon and we just didn't know it. He's front and center. Like he's front and center. Like, yes, I'm a black gay man, 1963. And what? Let's fucking go. Like, and to me, that takes a level of strength that I cannot imagine, right?
It was illegal.
Yeah, quite literally. Quite literally, it was, right? So it's just like him doing this at the time of being just being a black man and challenging what he was challenging is already absolutely insane. Like, it's absolutely insane. The fact that he lived to be an old man is crazy, right? That he pulled that off and then lived to die of natural causes as an old man, right? Is absolutely insane. To then couple that with being gay and being openly gay at the same time is unbelievable, right? It's like, again, we talked about this a couple weeks ago on a preview episode. The fact that Little Richard was just like openly the fuck out there is insane to me. In the 50s, hey, I'm gonna travel around the South, like doing music. You gonna be all right, brother? Like, I don't think you're gonna make it. Like, but he was unapologetic and didn't give a fuck. He just didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And that takes a level of bravery that I think people don't quite fathom, right? Because being openly gay now is not, I mean, yes, obviously people still struggle with it or whatever. I'm not taking away from that, but it's a lot more accepted. That's not the same thing as what it was in 1963. Certainly not. Certainly not as one of the four faces of the civil rights movement, where they would use your homosexuality to try to destroy black people in general. Like, that's just absolutely insane to me. But yeah, that moment of him saying that, like, you can't miss it. Like, you cannot miss it. There is no subtext in that statement. It's all text. So, but it's a dope performance. So then we, like, at the height of this, we see Martin Luther King Jr. and Philip Randolph do something that they did not do in the beginning, which is they defend their friend and fellow civil rights fucking icon from being attacked by Strom Thurmond and all these other right-wing assholes in government.
But by the way, shout out to Glenn Turman, still just knocking it out of the park.
100%.
Yeah, I always enjoy seeing him act.
Yep.
100%.
Like, I love
60 years, man.
Yeah. Fucking damn near flawless. Like, it's just crazy. Yeah, it's like, I can't imagine religious leaders in the black community saying that now. Like, calling out, like, wrapping yourself up in Christianity to try to denigrate this man. Like, you think T.D. Jakes would say that shit? I don't think so. Right? Like, it's weird, like, that we've done a backslide. That these guys were capable of standing with their friends and saying, hey, man, he is a good person. You are judging him. You're judging him incorrectly. You're judging this entire thing incorrectly. It's wild. It's wild to watch that happen in 1963 on television.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was probably because the circumstances were so grand. Like, they were literally fighting for civil rights. We have them now, I guess. Like, we do. But like, there's nothing that big to fight for.
Yeah, but like
it is, but like, I feel like they might not think there's something that big to fight for.
Right.
And they would, I don't like them gay dudes over there. Y'all keep that shit over there.
Right. But the fucked up thing is, it should be easier for them. It should be it should be easier.
It should be way easier. It should be.
It should be easier. Like, if you're not fighting for your life, so to speak, like, to get civil rights, you should be able to just stand up and be like, hey man, that's not fucking cool.
It's my brother. That's my brother. Like, he just happens to be gay. Whatever. Who cares?
Who gives a fuck?
But, Jesus and all that other bullshit, Yeah. So, there you go.
This is Micah's fault, ultimately.
Yeah.
Throw the blame on him. Hey, look, let me come on. So then we get the scene of the march is actually going on. Martin gets his girl Mahalia Jackson come out there, drop a couple amazing lines, and then they show him kind of giving the sort of the part of the I Have a Dream speech white people know. They miss all the rest of it. But it's still played as almost background. in a way. And you see that moment I was talking about earlier where Rustin is kind of like I got you all the way here. Now you're ready, right? And you see Rustin and King share this sort of moment looking at each other. And then Rustin does the most regular thing he can think to do. He picks up trash after it. Like, he's just like a regular dude. Like, he doesn't go off to some fancy hotel. He just helps to clean up because he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish.
Which is interesting because, like, earlier in the film, when Glenn Turman's character makes him deputy director, and like Rustin says, "You can call me the trash guy, whatever," and it's just like nice to kind of have that ending kind of call back to that.
Yeah, I thought that was dope. So incidentally, here's maybe one of the reasons why this movie was made by Higher Ground specifically. Obama was the one who actually awarded Rustin the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It was
right.
Specifically him. I didn't realize that. So yeah, that's cool. I'm glad to see them using their unbelievable power and massive Netflix contract to make it such a good movie. I mean, I thought this was really great. So, any other parting words?
Everyone should watch it. Should be required viewing.
I think so.
Yeah, this is definitely a movie you put on when the teacher don't feel like teaching shit. Like,
Kids got to learn.
You got to learn
But
something.
it's
And I
just a
feel
good
like people
film.
would probably be like, I feel like they might be engaged enough. To
I think students will really
I don't
like
know.
this movie.
I don't know about these young niggas nowadays. I don't know how they seem to be like wilding. So I couldn't tell you, but it's worth watching.
It's definitely worth watching. All right.
I can't believe I'm gonna have to say this. Philadelphia, good job.
How much did that hurt?
It hurts a lot because they got three. Like they got three. They got Questlove, they got Black Thought, and they got Coleman Domingo. And that's quite the hat trick. That's quite the hat trick.
I'm gonna give them Hall and Oates, but I'm gonna put an asterisk next to it because apparently they are beefing. So I'm a little sad about that.
Yeah, fucking restraining order. Like what?
No, that's their Philly roots. That's their Philly roots coming out. Like nah, you can't.
But it's taken a long time, but they finally got there.
It's there. So you got three. Philadelphia.
Not bad.
Good job. Good job.
All right, that is episode 253 for Rustin. We will see you guys back next week for a preview episode. If you're listening to this, I hope you have a good Thanksgiving holiday. But we will see you guys next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Oh, lying ass. No, you don't.
You're watching the Black on Black Cinema YouTube channel. Make sure you check out our full reviews of black movies, past and present. And every other week, we do a preview episode where we talk about a random topic that affects the black community.